point. Well, he added a bonus that you've tweeted the U.S. as a rogue terror state and a cancer on the world.
I mean, come on. We're objectively telling the truth in that one.
So he's going off of like the things that we're currently doing. Like, you got to think about it. Like, we aren't the only people that get to use the word terrorist. So with that being said, think about how we've operated in some of these other countries over the past decades, centuries, couple years, like you name it. Like, all these things that we're doing in all these other places, do you think they really think of us as liberators? They could easily think of us as terrorists. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Trey.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Back at it with another video.
Another one.
First and foremost, appreciate everybody that's been subscribing, everybody that's been commenting on the videos. Really means a lot, and it's helped me to continue to grow. And if it hasn't, if you're first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It don't cost you anything. Today, we're going to be reacting to a video coming out of Breaking Points. Apparently, Ben Shapiro has decided to take some shots at them. So, that's all we're going to do to preface this one. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
Ryan and his colleagues over at Dropsite News have found themselves in the crosshairs of people who are in support of, or were in support of, the Iran war, including Ben Shapiro, who, I think, Ryan, I'm catching a stray in this clip as well, because he talks about how you're part of the Horseshoe, which would involve your right-wing allies.
Right, there you go. Are you the woke right?
Oh, let's not open up that can of worms. Let's just roll the clip. People can make up their own minds.
Ryan Grimm, who's become a favorite on the Horseshoe right and the grievance party right, suddenly quoted by all of these people who have decided that isolationism is the way. He put out an actual tweet saying this. So Sean McGuire, who's an investor, put out a tweet saying, "How did we get to the point where so many Americans are rooting against America?" And Ryan Grimm, over at Dropsite News, which is a left-wing misinformation propaganda site, put out the statement, quote, "If this is an honest question, I'd say Americans are rooting against America because we facilitated a genocide." Presumably this would be Israel's action against Hamas, which was not, in fact, even remotely close to a genocide, and followed it.
So one thing I hate about Ben Shapiro is it's obviously an intelligent dude, but he's like, he uses his intelligence to push his own narrative, to push his own benefit, right? And with what he just said right there, he does this thing. I'm not sure if y'all have seen it, and it's the reason why I choose not to use genocide when talking about what Israel's done to Palestinians in Gaza, because they're arguing the definition. I hate people that do that, right? I hate people that argue the definitions. They have been making it a point, Israel, the state of, has been making it a point to target civilians, to target doctors, to murder innocent people. And then if you speak out against that, you're anti-Semitic. Well, people start saying, well, yeah, that's a genocide. You are clearly targeting Palestinian people and trying to eradicate them, trying to murder them in mass. So people are like, yeah, that's genocide. And, he'll come up and defend it. His voice annoys me too, but pretty much just arguing the semantics of what constitutes a genocide, not the act, like the scale and definitionally speaking. So I hate listening to him try and do it. I'm pretty sure he's about to do it now.
With a surprise attack on a girls' elementary school, followed by attacks on universities, medical centers, more schools, a world-famous pharmaceutical research center, a volleyball team, an unfinished bridge we claimed was transporting weapons, and then a nuclear power plant. We are now promising endless attacks on civilian infrastructure. Okay, so again, every single thing he is saying there is a lie. And the reason I say it's a lie is because we have hit those sites because they are dual-use sites, except for the ones that we hit by accident. If you truly believe that the American military is so evil that we target girls' schools for the fun of it, that there's no military usefulness, no mistakes made, that we just decided to get up one morning and murder a bunch of schoolgirls, Get the hell out of the country. Seriously, you hate the country and you hate the military.
You see how he's conflating multiple different things with just saying that the American military, that Ryan was just targeting the American military.
There's no other way to explain what you are saying. There's no other way to explain it. You think Pete Hegseth and President Trump are sitting around drawing up a target list and they say, you know what, just for good measure, let's kill a bunch of Iranian schoolgirls. Is that what you think? If you think that, you despise America. Again, you can oppose the war. You can oppose the way that the war is being fought. You can have problems with the general overall strategy. You can have honest questions about the war. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people openly hoping that America loses because they do not like America, because they think a more powerful America in the world is a bad thing. And Iran is counting.
And by the way, like I'm fine if y'all disagree with me. If y'all read that tweet yourselves and you think that he was speaking from a point of hating America or lies or whatever, yeah, feel free to challenge me. But I think we all know that's not what he meant, and that the person that is twisting the narrative is Ben.
On these people to undermine support. Again, this is nothing new. This happened throughout American history. If you go back to the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong were counting on moron university students to claim that the real bad guys versus, the communists who were murdering hundreds of thousands of people, that the real bad guys were actually the United States. And that's why you had them literally chanting in solidarity with Ho Chi Minh. Same sorts of people now, and they span a large swath of the left and a large part of the right now, or at least a significant part of the online right. I shouldn't say a large part of the right because, again, it's not true. But Ryan Grimm and Tucker Carlson are holding hands, walking off into their common isolationist, anti-American future together.
That's sweet.
It's very sweet, isn't it?
It does often occur to me that one of the biggest problems I have with you is you're not sufficiently supportive of the Vietnam War.
Well, I mean,
you cocked on Vietnam.
You know what's funny is that just yesterday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio posted a tweet that was laudatory of the Vietnamese Communist government. So, hey, if Rubio can recognize the virtues of Ho Chi Minh, why can't university students in the 60s, 70s? Also, the Vietnamese were fighting off an occupying power in their own country.
Well,
they liberated their country from the two occupying powers, French and the United States. Obviously, on what planet is that appropriate for us to even be in there? There was, yeah. Anyway,
we need not.
We don't need to get into Uncle Ho.
I was say when I saw this clip, I flashed back to this discussion that we had right before Christmas where we interviewed each other. One of the questions I asked you, I was like, Ryan, you love the 4th of July. Do you love America? And you responded, I can't imagine loving a country.
That's right. Yeah. How do you love a country?
Yeah. So Ben should go watch that clip if he wants the full download on Grimmism.
Ben,
I find it interesting for him to say, to have that stance. I get what he's going with it, and I mean, I guess if you're that marred in history and things of that nature, can you say, me personally as a Black American and being exposed to the actual truth of our country, the genocides that we've taken part in against the Indians, the mistreatment of the slaves, Africans that were brought here initially, just all of our history in totality, I still have pride in my country. I still have love for my country. I still love my country. But I mean, just because I have love for my country doesn't mean I can't be critical of my country. I love my family. I love my mom, my dad, my wife, my kids. I can be critical. I love them. I want them to be better. I want them to do better. I want them to grow and thrive and all that stuff. So I can be critical. So, I don't understand why taking a stance as far as that for a country. This is your country of birth, right? I would say you should love your country, but whatever.
Even though he read it, seems to have a reading comprehension problem. I didn't say we targeted a girls' school. I hope we didn't. I said we attacked a girls' school. We did. With multiple strikes. There was purple chalk on the sidewalk outside of it. Okay, if Ben is sure that it was an accident, I believe that. It also is completely shows a reckless disregard for human life to not have a person look at a satellite image of a place before you bomb it. There are thousands of people in the Department of Defense. We sent we hit 1,000+ targets.
It had been
that first
updated on
day.
Google Maps, hadn't it?
On Google Earth.
Yeah.
If you scrolled in, it was called an elementary school.
Yep.
So we have such a reckless disregard for human life that we didn't even check. So that's the point. We attacked the school, and he didn't address all the other things. The point is, a country who does that is going to be hated by a lot of people. We did all of those things. I was.
And what's wrong? I mean, you have the right to highlight that. Again, I wouldn't say that the military did that on purpose. I don't think anybody would. But there's obviously a flaw in the system. I think they were saying something along the lines of they were identifying these targets by certain AI and things like that. They were typing in certain keywords and things of that nature, and that's kind of what gave them their target list. And if that's what happened, and nobody did a primary alternate, like nobody did a secondary check to verify that yes, these are in fact the high value targets, then that's a problem. And our government, somebody should come out and say that. But the fact that instead of admitting to a fault and things of that nature, they tried to attack the reporters, I believe, when they started to talk about it and things of that nature. And we still haven't got an answer, right? We still don't know. Like all things are pointing toward the fact that we did it, but we haven't got an apology, an admission of guilt, an admission of fault, like nothing. And when you do things like that, you can paint a picture to the American people all you want to, and you'll probably still get a decent amount of support and or acceptance, like this is the cost of war and things of that nature. But the rest of the world does not owe us that at all. So the fact that he's highlighting it and just showing the point of view on how the rest of the global society is going to view us, nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't understand Ben cannot show any sort of, I don't know, fault or breaking from his support of Israel. He just can't do that.
Like, should we even
And
talk
therefore
about this?
supportive.
But then this
The US is supportive
IDF
of
guy,
Yeah.
came at us too, so I do think it's becoming like an actual kind of political
It is.
news event that is bubbling up in our discourse.
Yeah, let's put the next element up on the screen because it actually is, I think drop site is something that you all have to think about. This is Eitan Fischberger, former IDF, pretty big, if you're not on X, you probably never heard of him, but pretty big viral X account that shares constant pro-Israel propaganda. It's long past time, he wrote yesterday, for congressional and DOJ investigations into the foreign ties of drop site news. Here's what we know. It has at least 2 reporters, quote, reporters on the ground in Iran, who feed the site regime-approved disinformation and propaganda. Ryan, why don't we just respond point by point to this? That's what Fischberger says is enough to get you investigated because you're being fed propaganda from, quote, reporters on the ground in Iran.
We have at least one reporter.
You got that in Gaza sometimes as well.
Yeah, we have at least one reporter in Iran who is registered.
And by the way, this is just obviously the reason why it's important to have independent media. But once you have more and more independent media sources, yeah, that's what all they're going to do is, figure out ways to target them. And this is just a method in order to target them. So yeah, this won't be the last time. I'm sure they know it. I'm sure it's been more, slander and defamation that they're probably very used to at this point.
With the government, as you have to do if you're doing journalism above board. We have other journalists who are not registered, who publish anonymously, and they're not doing regime. None of them are doing regime propaganda. When CNN goes into Iran, they have to register with the government. Like that's what you do. Now, they don't have the First Amendment and the press freedoms that we do. That's for sure. But the idea that because you have a reporter or reporters on the ground in Iran, you are foreign funded. That's absurd. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they also, and they mentioned the point about Gaza,
What else you got?
Gaza.
What are his other?
$250K from Soros's Open Society.
Check. 2024, we got that grant.
Yep.
It's true.
And you've talked about it on
Yeah.
the show. Again, by the way, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You were like, no strings attached. That's the condition.
Yeah, and I remember at the time being like, if we take this, people are gonna like
Make it a
fun
thing.
of us for it. It's like, but there's no strings attached, and we can then fund an enormous amount of reporting in Gaza, which is what it was for. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Yeah. Anyway.
Also, you're published by billionaire communist Nepo baby, Nika Soon Shung.
Her title is publisher.
Yep.
Yeah. She doesn't give us money. Her dad doesn't give us money.
And they are billionaires, right?
He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. He owns the LA Times, and he owns like he created several cancer drugs that have become blockbusters, and so he's a multi-billionaire for having done that. But he doesn't give money to us, and we've never asked him, and we're not gonna.
Dropsite frequently flies to the Middle East to interview the leaders of U.S. designated terrorist organizations. I can't even read that sentence. It's so ridiculous.
Do we interview people that the U.S. has designated as terrorists? Yeah, we do that.
As journalists, 1,000 million% should.
Yeah.
They're complaining about Sharif.
Again, like I said, I obviously, y'all are getting to know more about me. Am I biased by saying like it's ridiculous to highlight that? Like if any other news organization did any of those things, like that's part of being a journalist, going to where the story is. There are active conflicts going on in all the places that they just mentioned. So once you get on ground, you're going to try and find sources that are willing to talk to you. You want the bigger, the better in a lot of these cases, right? So, if you can find a source that's willing to talk to you, you don't have to agree with everything that source says. You don't have to like that source or anything like that. But you're a journalist. You are a journalist. It's your job to get the information and report on it. So if you can get the information from the people that you like, so the friendly and the people that you dislike, the enemy as well, like you can report an unbiased factual story that paints the entire picture and or as much of the picture as you can paint. It's a part of journalism. So again, it's just trying to discredit them, and it's to somebody else's benefit. Let's not be fake about it.
Filed a sympathetic dispatch from the funeral of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah after he was killed by Israel.
You can go read the piece.
Go see how sympathetic it was. Dropsite is fiscally sponsored by the Social Security Works Education Fund while it pursues its own 501c3 status, an arrangement that reduces transparency and allows the outlet to obscure who its funders are.
Fiscal sponsorship is a normal thing for a new nonprofit. All nonprofits are not required, even whether they're fiscally sponsored or not, to disclose like all of the names of all of their donors. That's just not a thing.
This is that was the last point. Well, he added a bonus that you've tweeted the U.S. is a rogue terror state and a cancer on the world.
I mean, come on. Like, we're objectively telling the truth in that one.
So he's going off of like the things that we're currently doing. Like you got to think about it. Like we aren't the only people that get to use the word terrorist. Right? So with that being said, think about how we've operated in some of these other countries over the past decades, centuries, couple years, like you name it, like all these things that we're doing in all these other places. Do you think they really think of us as liberators? They could easily think of us as terrorists.
You and I could talk.
Trump just threatened to annihilate an entire civilization.
He sure did. Yeah. He sure did.
But yeah, we don't.
He's not making my side of that argument any easier by the day.
But yeah, as I tell everybody who comes at us about our funding, like you don't have to subpoena us. Mm-hmm. Like, and here I'll look it up. I'll look it up right now. So we have.
You have a 990.
We have two. There's 990 should be public. We have two primary streams of revenue. One is subscriptions, and the other is just small donations. And then the third is bigger donors who give more than like $2,000 or so. That makes up maybe like 10%. The big donors make up about 10%, and we're grateful for them. but it's the small donors that make up the bulk of it. Interestingly, there's not a lot of overlap. We have about 25,000 people who've made small contributions. And we have, looking at it now, 18,594 paid subscribers.
That's incredible. I mean, you're not even 2 years old.
Yeah, and a subscription is $100, so you can do the math pretty easily on that. But there's not actually a whole lot of overlap between the subscribers and the donors. So that means we actually have about 40 to 45,000 people who have given money at some point or another. Total subscribers, paid and unpaid, right now we're at 792,236. And so the bulk of our revenue is from people who read the site and then give money to it. Ironically, in the first hour, I just asked our fundraising guy. So since Eitan put this tweet up, we got 178 donations.
Damn. It's been not even a day.
Yeah, less than a day. An average of $37 each, none more than $250, totaling $6,700. So Eitan, he's like, who funds these guys? You do, you moron. His penchant for lying has produced in the public a real demand for people who don't lie. And so the more lies he tells, and the more wars he encourages Israel to fight and encourages the U.S. to support, then the more people are going to want to support us. And I've told him and others, if you want to gut us, you want to take the legs out from under us, stop with the wars. I think people would be spending less money on our reporting if there were fewer wars for us to report on.
Definitely.
I would happily take that trade-off.
Definitely.
So, try peace for a while, and then we'll go cover other things, corporate abuses, whatever. And there's frankly, there's probably less interest in that.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's fine. I would love nothing more than to make less money and have fewer wars to cover.
And by the way, the reason you mentioned this in your response to him, you're like, you don't have to snitch tag Ways and Means.
Right.
But
he's trying to get Ways and Means Committee to subpoena us.
I will say, I don't think that's ridiculous from his perspective, because they are opening investigations. And sometimes
they
I
might
think
try it. Go ahead.
there are some, because of the way FARA works and the like, that are, I think, somewhat legitimate. Now, they're going to be done on a totally partisan basis, and you can bet your ass that any Israeli potential nonprofit schemes aren't going to be folded into these investigations. They're mostly looking at places, China and the like, that may have had nonprofits Code Pink, for example, but or ones that have direct Antifa ties and are getting funding from different places like China. And there's some interesting stuff actually on the table. I don't think DropSite will be on the table because there's so many people on the right that are following your reporting closely and see the value in it.
And also they could just look and be like, oh, this is where the money comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like straight up clean American money. It's
100%. But this is a strategy that is being intentionally deployed by Republicans right now, who are under immense pressure from their base to get scalps and stop just chit-chatting about, oh, we're going to go after this person and this person. They're trying to actually go deep and do these investigations. They are into groups like Code Pink. So it's not that's why I thought it was important to talk about, because it's not nothing.
And I think some of it is earnest on their part. I think...
but yeah, we're going to stop it there. They pretty much covered everything with the Ben Shapiro attack and the other guy attacking them on Twitter. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think. From a person that's just engaging and keeping tabs on the news and stuff like that, is it fair? Was it a fair criticism that Ben Shapiro tried to lodge at them, or is it just an attempt at an attack and trying to make them seem like they are for one, that they're anti-American, right? Anti-American, or that they're in somebody's pocket. But y'all let me know. Again, if y'all learned something throughout this one, make sure y'all share it with your people. Keep the conversation going. Keep the information flowing. And until next time, I'll let you.